Glad to have you back on Morning Flight on Love with Expressions, where we do entertain you beyond borders. I did tell you before we went on that break that we have a very, very interesting discussion, and yet again, an interesting personality has also joined us, someone who knows the onions in the field of human resources. Her name is Success Okoje, and today we'll be talking about effective interview for an interviewee. Effective interview for an interviewee. Success. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Will you agree that the lack of adequate planning for an interview is the greatest single fault for a failed interview?
Yes, I agree. This is because before you go for an interview, you have to plan. Apart from planning, the first thing you need to do is to pray about the interview. Now, don't forget that you're going for...
pray.
Yes, you need to pray about the interview. Don't forget that you're not the only person going for the interview, right? You have probably 2 or 3 or even 10 people there, could even be more. So you need to stand out. How do you do this? You, like I said earlier, you pray, then you plan. Go and research about the job interview you have applied for as a candidate. After doing that, you could just jot some notice from the what you researched about. Then you could also check about the company to know more about the company's core values, the profile of the company, the objectives, the vision. So you need to know all these things, because by the time you get to the interview, the interviewer might ask you these questions, and you don't want to be seen as unprepared or inexperienced. So yes, definitely, yeah.
Okay, is self-confidence an important tool? Would you say I need to have all the self-confidence, I need to gather all the confidence I require before going for an interview?
Totally, yes. You have to have that self-confidence. Like what I tell people, if you're going for an interview, meet with maybe your friends or your relative or whoever, and sit in front of that person and practice. You could even sit in front of the mirror and practice, so that you could go there prepared and show that, yes, you know what you're doing, yes, you know what you're saying. So definitely you must have self-confidence.
So, sorry, before you do ask, which of these two will you hire? Someone who has self-confidence but doesn't really understand the job? Or someone who seemingly knows the job but is timid?
I would actually go for the person that has self-confidence, because literally I can train that person, right, to know more about the job. Because I don't want you as an employee to go to meet maybe a customer and fumble and be timid, right, when the person is asking you questions or look shy or anything. So yes, I'll definitely pick the person with self-confidence, because I can literally train that person.
Okay, talking about training and all of these things, we've had some persons go into a place and confidence and all the things, then suddenly a question just pops up and it destabilizes you. How do you, how's a person, like if I'm going for a job interview and the question comes and I really don't know, how do I steer the ship to be balanced? Because at the time, so many things are going through my head. Because I'm here for this job, I'm not supposed to goof before them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it in that angle. Look at the do's and the don'ts of a successful interview. Why do I do that?
Well, first of all, let me talk about the do's. The do's, right? Think positive when you go for an interview. Just try and think positive, be cheerful, have the energy, show positive energy. Then one thing you shouldn't do is don't overtalk your interviewer, right? Don't be too loud, and don't, when they ask you a question, just go straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't talk too much about your personal life. So just make it brief.
Okay. So then, just in case, like I said now, and I've been there, because I've had cases where there'd been an interview, and suddenly it was a promotional interview, and all of the panelists were there, but there was one particular guy that was put there to destabilize the guys that were coming. And he just, it was a military senior officer, and the guy just comes, asks you, what was the capital of Nigeria? And some persons are like, just go Lagos. He said, is that your final? Are you sure? And, you know, things like that. And he came up with issues, and suddenly the particular officer had to ask. He said, if say read the alphabet A to Z from behind, things like that. Oh. How do you stay? How do you get that confident? Because you really need to be confident. How do you stay yourself back having that?
Like I said, you need to think positive. Mm-hmm. When you ask a question and you don't know the answer to the question, just try and like, for lack of a better word, just dance around the question, right? Mm-hmm. But try and say something close to the answer, and at the same time, look confident. Look like, yes, you know what you're saying.
Okay.
So that's basically it. Okay,
can I ask, when during interviews... Yes. During interviews, the interviewer sometimes asks you, how much you want to be paid? Is that supposed to be a setup? Because sometimes I don't mind to be paid 1 million, and I say 1 million, and I know that they can't pay 1 million. So is that supposed to be a setup, or should I just say, okay, whatever you want to pay me, or should I go ahead and tell them the amount?
Well, every organization has their pay package, right? So most organizations put it there, and when they're advertising that, okay, this particular role is this particular amount. Some companies ask you, how much would you like to be paid? Now, what I will tell you is, just try not to say things that are too extravagant, like out of the budget. For example, if you're going for an officer role, you shouldn't be saying, like, officer role is a level 1, for example. You shouldn't be saying you want to be paid 500,000 naira, right? You could just start, you could say between 150 and 200. Just be in between, right? Don't, as a level 1, you're saying 500 or 800,000 when you know that, okay, you're just coming out of school and all that, so.
Yes.
Okay, the minute, let's assume this is an interview.
Okay.
And someone walks in to be interviewed. What are the first things you look out for?
Well, first of all, as a candidate, when you walk into an interview, let the interviewer ask you to sit down. That's the first thing. Don't just go sitting down. Then you greet, be polite. Hello. Then he or she asks you to sit down, you sit down. And also, they look at your dressing, they look out for your dressing. Don't be overdressed or underdressed. Just dress smart. And another thing they look out for is your aura. Don't come in and you are working sideways, looking down, looking dull. Be bright, look bright, right? Show that, yes, you got this. So sit down and sit properly. There are sometimes when I go for these interview sections, I see people just sitting like lounging or not sitting properly, crossing his leg and all that. So you just need to learn how to sit properly.
Okay.
In an interview.
Would it be good for, what about eye contact? Will it always be?
Yes, you must have eye contact with your interviewer. Okay, that shows that you know what you're talking about. That shows that you're confident as well. If you're looking away or being distracted, it shows that you don't know what you're saying, you don't know what you're doing. So you need to look at the interviewer and smile.
Okay, does the content in your resume, does it give you a better chance to have the job, to get the job?
Yes, definitely. Now, one thing I want you to know is that most resume, please do not fake it, do not forge. Your age must be your exact age, because I've seen situations where people claim the age they are not, maybe to fit the job role. And note that these things are being verified. So, for example, if the interview process is done, they hire you, they always do a reference check, right? They check your results, your credentials. They also do referee checks, right? So you don't want to, during your probation period or during the period where you're working, and they come and tell you, sorry, we have to let you go because they found out that your CV was forged or you have wrong information on your CV. So yes, definitely it has to be correct.
Okay.
Okay, if you would love to join us, the numbers are on the screen. Feel free to call in, make your contributions, or you could probably ask our guests questions. So, Success, what will you describe as a failed interview?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything as failed interview.
Okay.
Because I always think positive no matter what. If you did not get the job because of whatever issues, maybe they found someone else, for lack of a better word, better than you because of maybe the questions you were asked that you didn't answer well, don't see it as you failed. Just see it as an opportunity for you to do better, an opportunity for you to grow. Go back, pray, and talk to God, right? God might even be preventing you from that particular job. So don't see it as a failed interview. No, you shouldn't.
Okay, if I go for an interview and I'm told, tell me about yourself, what should be my content, the striking content that can impress the interviewer?
You have to be brief when they say, tell me about yourself. You need to be very brief. Don't go giving them details of where you lived, where you went to school. Your school history is already on your CV, so you just be very brief. Tell them about your past experience, your accomplishments, right? Okay. And things that you were able to overcome in your previous job and all that. Now, I usually tell people who are just coming out of school, the level 1, the officers, when you are asked that question, talk about the things you accomplished in school, and also talk about why you love that particular job role you're applying for. So that's just basically it. Be very brief and hit it.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think for when you're talking about that, it will always be a good, because I know sometimes we've had cases where some person say, tell me about yourself, you know, they just go around everywhere and do all the things. I also want to ask,
they include the AK of AK.
You know, all the AKs, and tell you, okay, this is what I did, I accomplished this one, is it good? So, but now, you've talked about sitting position, talked about the field interview. What are the basic things that, now looking at it from the point of the interviewer, what are the things that you're looking out for when you see a person walking to you? And what are the things that you are, specific things that you're looking out for?
As an interviewer?
Yeah, the interviewer now.
Well, like I said earlier, the person's oral, the way he or she comes in, right? And the questions, how the person answers each question is being asked. And another thing that I usually tell people, you could also ask questions, you know. An interview is a two-way thing. Don't let the interviewer keep asking and asking and asking, and you don't ask a question. You could ask, okay, please, what do you expect from this particular role as an employer, right? You could just ask simple questions, and that's basically it.
Okay. If I go for an interview, for instance, and I didn't really get any feedback from the organization, is there any acceptable way I can contact them, maybe write them, like, please, can I get a feedback, even if it's negative, or can I get a feedback from the interview? What do you think?
Yes, you can send an email. I've had several people call me, right, and like, please, I did an interview, and I didn't get a feedback. So I usually tell them, send an email. They sent you an email, right, for the interview, the time and everything. So respond back to them that, okay, I did this interview 2 months ago. I'm here to get a feedback from you. Please, can I know what's going on? It's very simple. But please don't keep, like, if you
bombarding them.
exactly, and calling, no, just
sometimes,
a simple straight
I feel sometimes because of the pressure and all that, in these things, do the feedbacks, do they help the person ahead for the next one?
Yes.
Because I know that basically, let's look at it in the Nigerian setting, whether government or private. Sometimes after the interview, there's no feedback. It's until they'll tell you, the natural thing, they tell you, you will hear from us.
Yes.
And you know that thing, that word is always like, it's as if like government, like you're going to hear from us.
And you know you'll never hear.
And you know we never hear. So all those things, because it's not going to be a nice thing whereby from the HR angle, you get to reach out to these people and give people feedback.
At least thanks for coming.
I think this what but in the midst of all things, at least we saw all that, but the different areas, it's not going to be good to have such things.
Yeah, there is. It's good. It's good to have such things. HR, we do these things and we are growing every day, do you get? Because even we're human beings, right? So it's good for every HR expert or practitioner to always give feedback to people that come to the organizations to do interview. Not giving them a feedback whether or not they made it or not makes it's just discouraging, right? And they don't see that organization as competent.
Oh.
So I usually tell HR, you need to respond, you need to give feedback to every candidate, no matter whether the person made it through or not.
Okay, there have been times when candidates go for interview and they are told that they're overqualified for a particular position.
Yes.
Is it truly they're overqualified or a polite way of dispersing that person?
Well, not really. I just feel you can't literally tell someone that is overqualified. If the person is overqualified, well, that should be a plus to the organization. When such statements are made, I think it's basically when they're talking about pay, right? When they're talking about the pay, maybe you're from where you're coming from, your pay was, let's say, 800,000, and now the pay for that particular
is
role
200.
is 200. Yes, they will tell you you're overqualified.
So meaning that they just want the person to. It's a polite way
of saying.
Wow, that means you have to, they're telling you have to accept what we have, I need to compromise because of what's happening.
Yes.
But what if the person says,
I don't mind, I just need this job, I want to be there.
Yeah. We've had several cases like that. People just do a pay cut. Now, the reason people do that is for their personal reasons. Could be family, maybe to move closer to home, or just personal reasons.
Okay, now, one other question I know that is always there. In Lagos, we have people that are in the mainland that go to go and work at the island. That are moving, it's a lot, it's movement and everything. When one is going for these job interviews, because the interview at least is there because you're looking at your prospect, is it right, is it good, will it be good for us to choose jobs that are closer home, or that kind of, knowing that in getting the job, no matter the money they give you, the transportation is included, and all the things are there. So will it be, so that when we are asking, sometimes, because when we talk about the pay, all of these things are put into the consideration for the person is asking for his price, for what he feels that will be good. Do we have to look at those?
Yeah, we do. We look at those things, how, the proximity where the person lives, right? There's some organizations that have a lot of staff, and they really don't look at that at the beginning. So when they employ this staff, they can just do like reshuffle in the organization. But it's a good thing. Most organizations, even when they're doing their adverts, they say there, they are specific, must be on the mainland or must be at Lekki, like that. So yes, they look at these things.
Okay, now I really want to impress my interviewer. Like I'm going for an interview. Am I supposed to learn new grammar, new words, just impress the interviewer? Or what can I do to impress the interviewer so that they can say, wow, this is the person for the job?
You just be yourself. Just go simple. Don't go and start saying things that you don't know the meaning or you don't understand. Just be simple, dress well, look nice. Don't do loud hair for ladies. Don't make it too loud, or loud makeup or long nails. And guys, don't I don't understand when a guy, you're coming for an interview and wear native or agbada. No, please, just dress smartly and look nice. All these things, your body language. The interviewer is looking at you, right? So, like I said earlier, interview is a two-way thing.
Yeah.
The interviewer is looking at your outward appearance, so you need to use that to impress him or her.
Okay. There have been times when a candidate comes for an interview and that candidate is employed. The HR probably saw something in that candidate before saying yes. Sadly, the person comes in and is not adding that value, or whatever that thing that HR saw then isn't there any longer. They call it HR, human resources error. What does that mean?
Yeah, it happens where the candidate or the employee now underperforms, right? So that's where you have, let me just say it like this, PIP. You can place that particular employee on PIP, that's performance improvement plan. So you give that person maybe 3 months or 6 months and coach the person. I see some people, line managers, you place your employees on a plan and you don't coach that employee. So how do you expect the person to grow? How do you expect the person to learn? So because for the HR person to employ that person, that means that person has something. Do you get? So you need to coach. You need to lecture that person and be patient. That's why you have to give that person like 3 months or 6 months. We call it performance improvement plan, PIP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Performance
Improvement plan.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so with that, you can be able to monitor and,
Yeah.
Exactly.
you know, so it's not as though you're looking out for the failures, but it's helping the person to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like a probation period?
That is usually it's after the probation period. Some companies, their probation period is 3 months. I think that is short, but other companies is 6 months. So they give you a 6 months probation. If you're still not doing so good, they can place you on PIP. Usually PIP should be 3 months. And if after 3 months you're still not, then they will politely say, okay.
Okay, for someone who is at an interview session, what's the best way to end an interview?
The best way to end an interview is just ask questions. That number one. After the interviewer has asked you questions, you too ask questions, and also sincerely say thank you. Most people don't know how to say thank you after an interview. You need to thank your interviewer.
Okay, and we will sincerely say thank you to Successful Coach,
Thank
Human
you very
Resources
much.
expert who's joined us to discuss effective interview for an interviewer. Thank you, for an interview rather. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.